Hi, it's James from Hidden Depths Coaching. I thought we'd do a wee clip. It's just in between seeing clients there, and it's been mentioned a couple of times this week, so that's why I thought I would do a clip on it, just on, on fear itself. And somebody said to me, if only I could get rid of fear. And I kind of laughed, and when I told this client the truth, you ever just tell somebody something, it was just the last thing they wanted to hear. And what I told them, the truth was that you will never, ever, ever rid yourself of fear. You will never rid yourself of it. Fear is an emotion that will never, ever go. And what you will learn how to do is you will learn how to handle fear. You'll learn how to channel it, and you'll learn how to not allow fear to control your life, but you will never ever rid yourself of fear. And fear for me is, fear is when your imagination is undirected, where faith is when your imagination is directed. So I believe it can go one way or the other. And for me, fear is the same emotion. Like if it was like, I use this emotional chart, and when fear kicks in, it's when you feel overwhelmed. But an overwhelming feeling can be a good feeling. It can be I feel overwhelmed because something amazing is going to happen, or I feel overwhelmed because I'm going to end up feeling that something bad could happen. So it's in that moment of uncertainty you can feel a tad overwhelmed. And what I like to do with fear is be very, very factual of it, right? So if I feel a bit of fear creeping in, if I feel myself being overwhelmed, then I use facts to build myself up. Like, you've done this loads of times before. You always make it, you always break through, you always step up. And then that fear jumps up to a place of hopefulness, and then you can take that to a place of positive expectation. You start to expect it to go well. To a place of enthusiasm, let's get this fucking done, to passion, I'm doing it, to empowerment, boom, it's a way the decision's been made. But then, that overwhelming, that fear could creep in, and you could start feeling like, oh, I'm a disappointment, why do I always feel fearful? Why am I getting caught out like this? Oh, I'm doubting myself, I worry about everything, and then you maybe even start to blame your parents or people in your work, or if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be feeling like this. And then you maybe feel jealous, why am I feeling like this, everybody else feels great, till you feel unworthy, I'm just not good enough, till you feel like you're powerless, right? So powerless being the lowest emotion and empowerment being the top. And the difference between the bottom and the top is how fucking factual you are, how truthful you are. In that moment, when that overwhelming feeling hits you, do you want to build the muscle of facts to faith, or do you want to allow it to drag you down until you feel completely powerless? But let's talk about fear in its best sense, right? Let's think back in your life, depending what age you are, but there were always at one point in a life where, say for instance, you were grown up and you really fancied somebody, right? And you thought, like, no matter, you were really like quite attracted to them, and you were like, God fucking hell, I would really like to ask that person out. Well, this created this feeling inside you, right? And that was a bit of fear, but it's also a bit of excitement, right? But then maybe you plucked the courage up to say to this person, this is how I feel. And then in that moment, that person said to you, you know what, I feel the exact same. And then you felt this wave of fucking relief. And it's because all our greatest things are on the other side of fear. Because if you never took the shot, if you never asked the question, you would never know. It's like, say you were wanting to go for a promotion in work, and you just sit there and you allow your fear to consume you, but then one day you just act on it and say, I'm going to put myself forward, and the person says you're perfect for that job. Everything good in your life has came at the other side of fear, and yet that's the one thing people want to disappear. Fear is just your emotions telling you you've got a fucking choice to make. You've got a decision to make. I was even talking, somebody was asking me, a client was saying about the kids seminar, and they said to me, saying, you know, how's it going? And I was like, being honest, I says, we sold a lot of tickets, but not as much as the hype that everybody said about, you know, you should do it. Like, when I put on that I was going to do the kids seminar, it get more comments, it was more spoke about than any other seminar, but it's selling out slower. And I said that to this person, and they said, you know, I've been speaking to a lot of people that are dying for their kids to go, but the kids are scared, so they don't want to force them. And that made me think about this thing about fear. And I'll be honest with you, see, when I grew up, that wasn't the case. Like, my parents made me face that fear. You know, my parents, there was never an option of not going. I'd maybe either try one thing or the other. And I'll be honest with you, like, if we don't build this muscle now, if we don't push ourselves through the things that make us feel scared, and that to me is the job of being, if you're a parent, then you to then give that guidance and say, look, it's safe. And that's what I think parents do, they make it safe. But I think at some point you've got to take that choice and say, no, I know this is going to be something good for you, at least give it a go. And you know, I remember, you know, when I'd done martial arts, and you know, I was a bit older at this, you know, probably, I think just turning 20, and I can remember having a competition to go to, and I'd only passed my black belt, and I'd been to one competition, and when you become a black belt, you could fight another black belt who's been a black belt for like 10 years, and I got a down, I mean a complete down at this competition, and I can remember the British Championship coming up, and I just didn't feel ready. And basically my instructor was spending a lot more time with my mate Aidan, because he was a lot more talented than me at it, and we were both in the same weight division, and I can remember being really fearful. And I can mind saying my dad was like, I'm going to miss this tournament out. And he told me, like, if you're going to sit here and you're going to regret not going to that, you're going to sit there and think, what if? He goes, so what if you go and you get a down, so what if it doesn't work out? He says, but I'm telling you, if you don't push through that fear, you will regret it. And he says, why don't you just go and just do your best to enjoy it, just have no expectations on it. And I did, I went to that British Championship and I actually won it, like, and you know, I won the gold, and you know, it, like, it came as such a shock, but if I never challenged that fear, then I would never ever have made it. And I actually took a note of this, I'll just maybe read it out. I think it's pretty important, right? Because, you know, I looked at what gifts I got from my parents, right? And none of the gifts that I got from my parents was that they allowed me to, like, just do whatever I wanted to do. I mind when I was a kid, I fucking hated that they never allowed me to do what I want. Like, they pushed me in the right directions. But like, even looking at this, 43 years of age, if I look back to the gifts that I got from my parents, it was kindness, strength, honesty, hard working, forgiveness, passion, loyalty, fun, to be courageous, to forget things, pushed me. They had doubts. I got doubts from them, you know what I mean? They made me aware of things, how to keep going, gave me security, bailed me out, protection. I got a passion for training, for the gym, manners, friendship, taught us about friendship, some people to look up to make proud. They never left you, gave you this life on earth, and family values. So, you know, all of that I got from my parents, but one thing I didn't get was allowed to not go to something. I never got that. I had to pick something. And that's what I would say, don't ever think we're going to get rid of fear. We've got to learn how to fucking handle fear. We've got to build the muscle so strong. And the only way you build that muscle is by doing the things that are uncomfortable, by going to the things that you feel like, oh my God, I don't know. And it's like taking that risk, taking that chance to say to that person, you know what, I think you're pretty cool. And for them to go, you know what, I think you're cool too. That sense of relief. But you would never ever get that if you never ever took that chance. So don't ever think fear is a thing that's ever going to disappear. Fear's a thing that you've got to challenge every day. And that's why I put these things on, these seminars on. It's to give you the tools to challenge your fear, to look within rather than to stuff outside you. But try and play it safe, man. You know, it's never ever going to work. But listen, I thought that'd be a quick video, but I've rabbited on for over 10 minutes, so hope you enjoy it. Have a good week. It's now Friday. That's me finished for the day. And if you want anything, tickets, information on it, it's www.hiddendipscoaching.com. Bye.